friends, we have a ton of big reports to get through and big updates, as well as big footballing discussions, as I want to discuss Jamie Carragher's criticisms of our 45-man squad, as well as the direction of our transfer business. I hope you guys enjoy the video, man. Hit that like button, share your thoughts and opinions, and let's get straight into things. Another quick story, but tonight, it has been announced that Cole Palmer has won the PFA Young Player of the Year award. I think he was guaranteed to win that. I think he has a good chance, of course, to win the actual PFA awards, but I don't think he'll win that. And I think PFA Young Player is more than just rewards for the incredible individual season he had last season where, listen, everyone's doing the Cole Palmer celebration. He's taken the nation by storm. He's like one of the household names now. And that original £45 million that I thought at the time we overpaid for Man City to sign, a great talent by the way, has easily been justified. And if anything, City will feel like we did not get more money for him. So it's great for Cole Palmer to be rewarded for how his last season went. I think this season will be a bigger test for him, working in a new system, having less freedom, but most importantly, now that teams understand the threat he has, they'll have different game plans for him, and he'll be one of the main players teams are looking to stop this season. And that can only help his education, his development, and improvement as a player as the years go on. So congratulations to Cole Palmer, and we move on to the next story. As you guys are seeing on screen right now, this is the first official look at this season's third kit. As you can see, it's black. As you can see, it's going for a different crest instead of using the traditional badge on the chest, and it's a bold decision, but I think Nike these days, they're going for more funky, bespoke, unique designs that you can't really copy anywhere else. I like every kit that we've released so far. I really like the home kit. Maybe I have more of a bias towards it because, as you guys see with my designs, I've had a lot of fun revamping the graphics this season using the home kit as my basis, right? But the black kit will be out quite soon, and obviously this is a must buy in my opinion. So how do you guys feel about the third kit? Are you gonna buy it? Let us know below. And if you guys still haven't bought any of the new collections this season, use my discount code NINI10 to get 10% out your final order, and you'll find all the links in the card above and description below. Let's now move on and we discuss everything on Felix and Gallagher. Very quick updates, but right now, of course, the announcement is set to be official, and Joao Felix is our player. Today, he's finalized his contract. At the time of recording, we are waiting for the official announcement and press photos. I look forward to that. But Ornstein has given us the final fee it's taken us to buy Joao Felix, and we've paid £45.5 million with a sell-on clause attached. No add-on fees, it's pure money plus sell-on clause attached, and that's decent in my opinion, because if you convert pounds to euros, 45.5 million is around 53 million euros. So it's pretty decent. Now Felix is set to sign for us, and now means that Gallagher now can officially sign for Atletico Madrid, and he is set to be announced tomorrow in front of their fans. So it's kind of funny in a way that we've had to buy Joao Felix, so Atletico Madrid can afford to buy Gallagher for 42 million euros. Before I forget, they've agreed to buy him for 42 million euros plus a sell-on clause attached too. So we could be making some decent money in the future, because I imagine Gallagher will come back to the Premier League sometime in the future. Still though, we know why he's being sold. The directors don't see the value in him. They think they have other players that we can turn to instead. And obviously he's being sold for pure profit, which allows us to have more flexibility when it comes to signing players in the window. Joao Felix's signing has come at a massive surprise. No one expected this at all the months leading up to the window and at the start of this window, but it's a reality that's here now. And to be honest, I'm cautiously optimistic about what to expect from him. The club are suggesting that they've signed him with foresight in their minds because they think he will really complement Enzo Maresca's positional play system. They feel like he's versatile, and reports are mentioning that Felix could be used as the offensive 8 in the team, which makes a lot of sense. But then the question marks come into place, because when you have guys like Nkunku, who also operates in that area, when you have Cole Palmer that also operates in those offensive central roles, we can't realistically use all three in the team together. So I'm really curious to see what master plan Maresca finds. Tomorrow I will be releasing my predicted lineup on Joao Felix, and how I think he may be used. You guys stay tuned for that. But I have to admit, even though this move doesn't make too much sense for me in terms of balance, there's something about Joao Felix that has just like captured me. And I'm really hoping that he has a great season, he is a success, and he does start to achieve some of that potential he's always had. So that's all the news out of the way. So now I want to use this next segment as an opportunity to discuss Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville's comments on Monday Night Football, where they were quite scathing in their criticism surrounding how we're conducting our business this transfer window. Now, to start things off, I'm going to play you guys the audio so you guys can get a bit of context behind some of the main talking points.
Chelsea have just got to stop buying players, and players have got to stop signing for Chelsea. I don't know why, if I was a player, I would look at that Chelsea project and think, why would you sign? The only reason why you would sign is because someone might say, your agent might say, we're getting a 7-year deal on big money, that's guaranteed money for 7 years. You know what I'd say? Back yourself as a player. Sign a 4-year deal at a proper club and back yourself to do well. And then when you're due for a renewal, your money goes up anyway. I don't understand why players are signing 7-year deals.
What if you backed yourself as a player anyway, Jamie, and you saw the list of names that are there and you're saying, I could be part of that?
Part of what?
Part of this young, exciting team could be.
It's not a young and exciting team. You've bought Joao Felix, right? Tell me where he's going to play. They've signed Neto a week ago. Where's he going to play when you've already got Cole Palmer? So,
can't you play those three? Can't you play Palmer, Joao Felix and Neto?
Where would you play Enzo Fernandez, £100 million player who played number 10? Where would you play Nkunku? So what I'm saying is, great football teams need competition. But every football team I played in, there was 7 or 8 players who knew they were playing every week. And then you've got 6 or 7 players who are fighting for 3 positions. And then you've got another 6 or 7 players in a squad who know the squad players. That is a healthy squad. What Chelsea have got right now, and you're asking where Joao Felix is going to play. You know what I want to ask you? Where's he going to get changed at the training ground? I'm deadly serious. Where are these people? If you've got 40 players, how are they all in one dressing room? How are you putting a training session on?
Is Carragher right? He's urging us to stop buying players. Or is this another attack on the football club? Because right now, you could argue as a fan that it does feel like we're becoming easy punching bags, easy targets. We're constantly seeing this low-hanging fruit conversations surrounding the club as if everything we're doing is stupid, isn't making sense, and is comical. I think there's definitely an interesting conversation here, and obviously I'm going to be respectful to what I'm hearing, yeah, because it's simply this for me. I'm a YouTuber. I don't have any football qualifications. Jamie Carragher has played at the highest level. He knows the industry inside and out. I'm not going to use my platform and act stupid and think that I know everything, but I don't agree with everything at the same time that was said. And I think one of the main myths that must be dispelled is this whole 42-man squad that constantly gets brought up. Now, it's quite obvious for us fans that a lot of the players are set to leave. A lot of these players who are leaving have been demoted to the reserve team. A lot of them already have found loan moves and have found transfer moves. And we're set to sell and release even more, because one thing we've heard consistently from Enzo Maresca is that he wants a 25 to 26-man squad. That is the agenda and prerogative this season. And like literally every single day for the past week, there's been new news of a player leaving. So I don't think it's very fair to constantly use the squad size against us, and I think it's a bit disingenuous in this conversation. We've been criticised for the contract lengths that we dish out to players. On one hand, from a footballing point of view, maybe I can understand that in the sense of, you know, what is the utility sometimes giving contract lengths this big? But equally, there is a benefit and bonus financially. And obviously that's the main agenda behind why these long contracts are given out, because we can amortize them in better chunks over time. But on top of that, we've also completely revamped the wage bill model. We're now going for a incentivized approach. A lot of players, especially this summer, they've signed for us accepting less money, reduced fees, and every player we've signed on the Clear Lake, they have accepted this incentivized approach. Hence why when we missed out on Champions League football, a lot of these guys missed out on wages because that was included in their initial contracts. Currently, I think our average wage pool is around 72,000 a week. that's not too bad considering under the old ownership. Guys like Kepa were giving over 200 bags. Even Timo Werner, I think at one point was earning like 280,000 a week. We gave out crazy contracts, crazy money, for a lot of players that weren't necessarily upgrades that deserved it. So even though these were some of the main talking points in this Monday football night discussion, I still think there's a sentiment that these guys are trying to explain, trying to touch upon, that isn't getting executed properly enough. Because I think there is a conversation behind the transfer business we're doing. It's nice that financially everything's in the bag and everything's safe, but then that's the finances. What about what's happening on the field, the football? How is the strategy necessarily leading us to that sporting success? And listen, I say this as someone where the moment these guys first came through, we had that unreal first 12 months on the Clear Lake, signing players for fun, that unreal January window, and Mudryk, Felix, Enzo Fernandez came. Back then on the channel, I thought it was a guarantee we'd be naturally climbing up that table and we'd easily secure Champions League football. But that's not how reality works, and I got humbled and I learned a lot of lessons. I think to myself when I look back, why did I easily dismiss the fact that we now have a squad size that's nearly close to 40 actual players in the squad at the same time, not players who are about to leave. I dismissed that, and that was one of the main reasons as to why we suffered in that season and really went nowhere. As I've said before, after taking over the football club, debt-free by the way, and investing over $1 billion already, you'd think to yourself, considering that you've taken over a club that only came third the season prior and got into 2 national finals, that if you gave that team $1 billion plus budget on top, we'd be absolutely clear right now. Hell, we didn't even need $1 billion. We could have injected like another 300 million, 400 million, and still been clear. And I think that's the sentiment on everyone's mind. After all this investment, all this spending, all this buying of players, why have we not really pushed the needle or actually moved on? And you know, Carragher mentioned a good point where he argued the fact that back when he was a player at Liverpool, squads kind of knew the hierarchy. You had those first team players that always played every single week. You then had the guys who were pushing the first team players, competing to try and get in the team ahead of them. And the rest were squad players and backup players that knew and understood their roles. Right now, we don't necessarily have as much of a hierarchy like that. There's a lot of players of similar playing ability that, listen, we can make predicted lineups for fun. And I'm sure everyone's lineup's a bit different in their heads, but I'd say the player quality is a lot similar to each other. And I think that comes with difficulties, like what is the best balanced squad you can actually use? A lot of times we're already noticing small signs of players maybe playing out of position, so managers can try to create this balance out from nowhere. And you think to yourself, if there was more consideration and more focus in terms of the players that we're going for, could we have avoided a lot of these pitfalls? Another thing touched upon, which I agree with, was Gary Neville mentioning the fact that as a player that once came through the academy at Manchester United, players like him, they're the soul of their football clubs because they've been there since they were kids. They've climbed through the ranks to get there. It's like every kid's fabled dream is to go from the youth setup to the first team. That's how football works, and the fact that the new ownership has instantly discarded not only the players that have established themselves in the first team squad, but also it seems like discarding the strategy of the entire academy, looking to completely revamp our youth model and youth approach. It's a lot of excessive spending to build an entire new strategy overnight when we didn't necessarily have to tackle every single project at the same time. That's my newfound thoughts on this whole situation. And I think already we're seeing collateral everywhere. We're hearing reports that Chukwuemeka could already be out the door. And you think to yourself, Pochettino was giving this kid chances. If not for terrible misfortune with injuries, he'd have played a prominent role last season. And already he's been replaced now, this great young hope that you gave 100,000 a week to sign Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, who only had one successful season under Maresca. And it seems like Dewsbury Hall will now be taking the minutes that should have been given to Chukwuemeka. And then for myself, it creates this contradiction in terms of what is the actual focus and what is the model right now? Because if we're going to be investing into youth talent, shouldn't they be getting the minutes the moment pathways open up when players leave and get sold? Conor Gallagher leaving, I naturally assume Andre Santos would be taking his position. I thought that was the whole point, but instead we signed someone else. We're seeing collateral in the sense that a lot of money that was invested in your Datlo Fofanas and a few of these guys, already they are immediately surplus to requirements. It was like there was no need to ever sign them, especially when there's not even the patience to even let them develop to a point where they could be worth more profit if they're sold. We've seen a lot of situations where we aren't necessarily securing some of the first team players that we actually want, and now we're playing the transfer wheel game of finding the next best options. And you think to yourself, if there was more focus, if we didn't tackle building the multi-network, but you're looking to get your Angelos, again, another player that we're learning already is already a surplus of requirements, and we only signed him last year. You can't be telling me the club in a space of a year are dismissing these guys as not being good enough. In my opinion, it does come down to the fact that because we are meeting our targets on the field, securing Champions League football, which means that we're not getting the top sponsors and all these little aspects, it means that we have to make sacrifices in other areas and players become disposed. And this is the main issue of tackling everything all at the same time. It's not focused enough. Back when Clearlake first took over, we thought this season in particular would be the title challenging season. I remember the reports, I covered all this stuff daily. Like, I've got everything saved in my computer. I see the articles and reports that come out. Maybe that's why my opinions are a bit different, because I can actually bring up something to use as evidence, because I remember covering it on this channel. And the reality is completely different to what the theory was, because the reality right now is that we are rebuilding yet again with a new manager, a new style of play, and it just doesn't make sense after this level of investment, this amount of players that have been bought, this amount of money that's been spent on managers too since Clearlake's taken over. What I'm trying to say is I feel like the overall discourse is not fair or accurate. They are picking on low-hanging fruit, but I think the sentiment behind why people are dissatisfied or are questioning what's happening at this football club, I think that's where the conversation really is, because people think to themselves, there should be results by now, and they're not there. And we go into this season yet again, with blind hope and optimism that this will be the season, everything makes sense, and let's see what happens. So they're my thoughts and opinions on that segment. Share yours in the comments below. I know you guys will definitely have a wide variety of opinions. Let us all know. And we end things with a final segment discussing the latest club news. Now, to include club news, we discuss Lukaku and Victor Osimhen, because Napoli, of course, have tried again with a loan option plus obligation to buy at 30 million. That has been turned down, but we are now learning that we are open to reducing the terms we want for Lukaku. We know he has a £37 million release clause, but based on current reports from The Athletic, it does seem like we would accept more money up front, with the rest of that money being paid in add-ons and installments. Let's see if Napoli accept that. But on the other hand, we have only expressed interest in signing Osimhen on loan first. And as we know, Osimhen is not interested in that because he wants his future guaranteed. He wants to feel he's safe somewhere. We see what happens, but as time goes on, everything works against Napoli and sadly could work against Osimhen. And after seeing how we were able to negotiate ourselves in a great position to get Joao Felix for a decent fee, are we looking to use the same aggressive tactics now on Napoli to get Osimhen for the money and wages we want? Time will tell, but let's continue to watch the space. And for the final story, Armando Broja is set to go on loan to Ipswich Town for a year's loan, with an obligation to buy if Ipswich do not get relegated. If they don't get relegated, they will have to automatically pay £30 million to sign Armando Broja. Now, I guess for Broja, the benefit is you're working under McKenna. It could work because he's a great young manager with good ideas, but ideally with a host of clubs, higher up the table in different countries that showed interest, it does seem like he's kind of got priced out of moves to better clubs because we wanted big money. Ipswich have to overpay to be able to entice a player like Broja to sign for them. Hopefully things work out for him. But again, it's so cruel how this game can be sometimes, because if not for injuries, I think this guy would be in a much better position in his career. And now he's going back to another newly promoted club. But again, there's not much that can be done. We have to sell players, and options are dwindling now because other clubs that showed interest have now already bought strikers in the window, which means that Broja's options aren't very big. So my friends, that's everything surrounding news, club talk, football talk, and all that good stuff. Share your thoughts and opinions, hit that like button, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with some more videos.